Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News on tonight's headlines. A horrifying attack rocked New Orleans on New Year's Day when a U.S. Army veteran flying an ISIS flag from his truck swerved through makeshift barriers and rammed into the crowded French Quarter, killing 15 people, and officials believe he may have had accomplices.
The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
And the news starts now. A horrifying attack rocked New Orleans on New Year's Day when a U.S. Army veteran flying an ISIS flag from his truck swerved through makeshift barriers and rammed into the crowded French Quarter, killing 15 people, and officials believe he may have had accomplices.
More than a dozen people were killed by a man crashing his pickup truck into a crowd in New Orleans on New Year's Day. Several more people were injured by the attack on revelers in the city's French Quarter. Reuters obtained the following of first responders in the aftermath. Some viewers may find graphic. It happened around 3:15 a.m. at the intersection of Canal and Bourbon Streets, a historic tourist destination. An eyewitness said she heard the rev of an engine, a loud impact, then screams.
And debris, just metal, the sound of crunching metal and bodies.
Police say the driver was 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, an Army veteran from Texas.
2 law enforcement officers were injured and transported to local hospitals. The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject came in possession of this vehicle. An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations. Weapons and potential improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were located in the subject's vehicle. Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter.
Officers said they found an ISIS flag in the vehicle. Jabbar was said to be in full military gear, subsequently got in a shootout with police and was killed. The incident has prompted an investigation into possible links to terrorist organizations. Investigators say they found weapons and potential explosives in the suspect's vehicle. They also say he may not have acted alone. A search is ongoing for his known associates. Public records show Jabbar worked in real estate in Houston. He had spent 10 years in the U.S. military as a human resources and IT specialist and had been deployed to Afghanistan. U.S. President Joe Biden condemned the attack in a media briefing and revealed more details about Jabbar.
Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
Biden also said investigators were checking for any link to a vehicle explosion outside Trump Tower in Las Vegas, but that no evidence had been found so far.
Additionally, we're tracking the explosion of a Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Law enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection with the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time.
ISIS, also called Islamic State or ISIL, is a Muslim militant group. It once imposed a reign of terror in Iraq and Syria until it collapsed from fighting a US-led coalition. Experts say ISIS has continued to recruit sympathizers online. Following the attack, New Orleans postponed college football's Sugar Bowl, which is played each year on New Year's Day. The city will also be the site of the NFL Super Bowl on February 9th.
Take a look. A night of celebrations in New Orleans turned into a scene of horror when a truck plowed into a crowd in the city's French Quarter, leaving multiple casualties. Now, chaotic radio exchanges from first responders captured the desperation and urgency as EMS teams raced to save lives.
92 Squad, we got a white Ford. I need EMS to Canal and Bourbon now. Canal and Bourbon now, possible 20F.
I need somebody to speak to dispatch. What's going on in Canal and Bourbon? I got it. What's going on in Canal and Bourbon? Showing us what's going on in Canal and Bourbon. Somebody please advise dispatch. What's going on in Canal and Bourbon?
Your accident at Bourbon and Iberville. Y'all were trying to get in. We have dozens of people that got hit by this car.
We have a medical pack. Bring a medical pack.
I got at least maybe 12 to 15 people hit by this vehicle. I'm in the 200 block of Bourbon. 880 headquarters. Bourbon Street is shut down from the 100 to at least the 500 block of Bourbon. All officers on Bourbon Street, stop! Headquarters, we need some EMS in here. Do we have them en route? 9530, we need EMS in here on the code 3.
Clear all my units that are code 1. Clear everyone, start them to that location. Anyone on that 30 if possible.
Bourbon and Iberville, I have at least 6 casualties. I have an officer doing chest compressions on one. I have another white male that's got agonal breathing in the 200 block. Multiple casualties that may be going 10-7.
Meanwhile, a Tesla Cybertruck erupted in flames outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on January 1st, killing 1 person and injuring 7 others.
A Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, Wednesday morning. Las Vegas police released this video of the blast, which killed the driver and injured several others. They also released footage that showed the vehicle's interior afterward, which they said showed gas and camp fuel canisters, as well as large firework mortars. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said the blast was unrelated to the Cybertruck itself, saying in a post on X, quote, "All vehicle telemetry was positive at the time of the explosion." FBI Special Agent Jeremy Schwartz told reporters on Wednesday that it was not yet clear whether the blast was an act of terrorism.
I know everybody's interested in that word and trying to see if we can say, hey, this is a terrorist attack. That is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do.
He added the vehicle had been rented in Colorado and that the FBI had identified the driver, but was not yet ready to publicly name them. The Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas is part of the Trump Organization, the company of President-elect Donald Trump, who will return to the White House later this month. Musk was a key backer of Trump in his 2024 presidential campaign and is also an advisor to the incoming president. The explosion occurred just hours after a man drove a truck into crowds of New Year's Day revelers in New Orleans, killing 15. The FBI said an ISIS flag was attached to a staff protruding from the trailer hitch, and that a potential explosive device was found in the rented vehicle. Las Vegas police said both that vehicle and the Cybertruck had been rented through car-sharing service Turo. President Joe Biden on Monday said law enforcement was still investigating whether the Las Vegas explosion and the New Orleans attack were linked.
Yeah, so the question is there any links to ISIS? And I will tell you that we don't have any indication of that here in Las Vegas. No overt ISIS flag as was seen in New Orleans. But again, we are investigating every aspect of this. And if that comes to light, we'll certainly update you. Gasoline canisters, they are camp fuel canisters and large firework mortars. What I also would like you to pay attention to on that video, as you see that, it looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet. because it had most of the blasts go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump hotel were not even broken by that blast. Do I think it's a coincidence? I don't know, but what I can tell you is we're absolutely investigating any connectivity to what happened in New Orleans, as well as other attacks that have been occurring around the world. We're not ruling anything out yet, Dana.
A tragic shooting in a small Montenegrin town has left multiple people dead, with authorities confirming the gunman died from self-inflicted injuries. Take a look.
A gunman who killed several people in a small Montenegrin town on Wednesday has died from self-inflicted injuries. That's according to police hours after the shooting. It's one of the tiny Balkan nation's worst mass killings. Police identified the suspect as 45-year-old Aleksandar Martinovic. He was on the run after opening fire at a restaurant in Cetinje following a reported fight. Authorities say he then moved on to 3 other locations and killed several more, including 2 children. Martinovic attempted suicide when cornered by the police after a manhunt. He died from his injuries in the early hours of Thursday. Police said Martinovic had a history of illegal weapons possession and was thought to have been drinking heavily before the shooting. While Montenegro has a deeply rooted gun culture, mass shootings are rare. However, in 2022, 11 people were killed in a mass attack in the same town. Despite strict gun laws, the Western Balkans remain awash with weapons from wars in the 1990s. After Wednesday's shooting, Montenegrin Prime Minister Milojko Spajic said authorities would consider tightening gun laws or a complete ban on weapons.
South Korean authorities are investigating the deadly plane crash that killed 179 people near Muwon Airport on Sunday. And police have raided the offices of Jeju Air, the airline operating the flight, and the airport operator. The Boeing 737-800 overshot the runway and burst into flames. 2 crew members survived. Investigators are examining the cockpit voice recorder and searching for evidence of negligence. The airline CEO and another official are barred from leaving the country. Experts are questioning the safety of the runway's design. Staying in South Korea, demonstrators both for and against impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol gathered in rival protests near the presidential residence. And this comes as Yoon faces the unprecedented possibility of arrest over his brief attempt to declare martial law.
The Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, CIO, is trying to arrest President Yoon Suk-yeol. But he's saying he won't accept being arrested. This does not make sense. We are here today to express our wish that he quickly accepts his arrest, faces detention, and steps down as soon as possible to bring an end to the current political turmoil.
So we gathered here, protect our president. The other party, they tried to arrest him, which is really illegal. So here we like to show our citizens' power. So now time is all legal thing is gone in Korea. So only we have to protect our country with our citizens' power.
The situation took a dramatic turn when a court approved an arrest warrant for Yoon on December 31. If carried out, this would make him potentially the first sitting president to face arrest over allegations of trying to incite insurrection by imposing martial law. The Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or CIO, is overseeing the investigation with a team including police and prosecutors, and they have until January 6 to make the arrest. But it's unclear when or how it will happen. There's also uncertainty about whether the Presidential Security Service will intervene, as they blocked access to Yoon's office and residence in the past. The case has created a complex situation. On one hand, arresting a sitting president would set a significant legal precedent, signaling a strong commitment to accountability and the rule of law. On the other hand, it could further destabilize the political environment, especially if security forces step in or the arrest is viewed as politically motivated. Taiwan's defense ministry said today that Chinese warplanes and warships had carried out the first combat patrol around the island of the New Year after Taiwan President Lai Ching-te again expressed willingness to talk to Beijing. China, which views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory, sends its military into the skies and waters near the island on an almost daily basis and holds what Taiwan calls joint combat readiness patrols several times a month. Taiwan's defense ministry said it had detected 22 Chinese military aircraft, including J-16 fighter jets, carrying out a joint patrol readiness patrol around Taiwan in conjunction with Chinese warships starting on Thursday morning. It said the Chinese aircraft flew in airspace to the north, west, southwest, and east of Taiwan, and that Taiwanese forces were dispatched to keep watch. Meanwhile, Fiji police are investigating two separate incidents involving Virgin Australia crew members who were allegedly victims of rape and theft in Nadi on New Year's Day. The crew members were on a layover before their flight the next day, according to Fiji's Acting Commissioner of Police, Juki Fongchu. Virgin Australia confirmed the incident and sent support personnel to Fiji, but offered no further details. Police said the crew members had visited a nightclub, and the incidents occurred while they were trying to return to their hotel. Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister, Viliame Gavoka, clarified that the incidents involved different crew members and expressed regret. He confirmed that a suspect connected to the alleged sexual assault has been questioned, and the investigation is ongoing. In a bold move, Ukraine has shut off Russian gas transit through its territory right in the middle of winter. The 5-year deal with Moscow expired at the end of 2024, and President Volodymyr Zelensky chose not to extend it. His decision to block Russian gas affects everyone. Russia loses billions in revenue, and Europe faces potentially energy shortages, and Ukraine forfeits its transit fees. So who's the bigger loser here? Let's break it down. Now, for decades, Russia dominated Europe's gas market, relying heavily on pipelines through Ukraine. Even after the war began, Russian gas flowed, earning Ukraine $800 million annually in transit fees. But Zelensky has had enough. He's giving up that revenue to cut Russia off. For Europe, the impact is mixed. Energy prices have risen slightly, but not nearly as much as during the 2022 crisis. Why? Because Europe is better prepared. Russian gas imports, once 40% of Europe's supply, now make up just 8%. And countries are sourcing gas from the US, Qatar, and others. But not everyone is breathing easy. Slovakia, for example, is feeling the pressure. Nearly 1/3 of its gas comes from Russia. Prime Minister Robert Fico, fresh from a meeting with Vladimir Putin, lashed out at Ukraine, warning that the decision would hurt Europe more than Russia.
Nikto, opakujem, nikto netlačí Slovensko preč zo životného priestoru, ktorý
Nobody, I repeat, nobody is pushing Slovakia away from the living space. That is the European community. But we must see that selfish national interests of the big ones and meaningless geopolitical goals are beginning to dominate this community. And on the other hand, ignoring the needs of smaller ones. In world politics, it absolutely applies that it does not matter whether elephants love or fight. The grass always suffers. I do not want Slovakia to be such grass. As we see these days when the transit of gas through Ukraine is stopped, which will have drastic impacts on all of us in the European Union, but not on the Russian Federation.
His concern isn't unfounded. While Western Europe seems steady, countries in the east like Slovakia, Hungary, and Moldova are vulnerable. Hungary is still receiving gas via Turkey, but Slovakia faces a harsher reality. Meanwhile, Moldova is already in crisis, with Russia cutting off its energy supply over a $79 million debt dispute. The country has declared a state of emergency, bracing for blackouts and power cuts. For Russia, this gas halt is another financial blow. Moscow's state-owned Gazprom posted losses of $7 billion in 2023. And this transit shutdown could cost them $5 billion more. While President Putin downplays the setback, the numbers tell a different story.
They keep receiving all sorts of aid from Europe. Without that aid, that they wouldn't only be able to fight, they wouldn't exist. And now they are punishing Europe, who is giving them money. I think right now the prices for gas is over $500 for 1,000 cubic meters of gas. So now they don't want to extend that contract. It's going to make things even worse, but it's Ukrainian policy. They decided to do that. So when they announced it, they said they're not going to extend the contract. There will be no contract. Now they realize it's a problem.
As Europe continues to pivot away from Russian energy, Moscow struggles to find alternative buyers for its gas. Unlike oil, which can be shipped globally, gas requires expensive infrastructure, such as pipelines or liquefaction facilities. The bottom line, Ukraine's decision marks another shift in Europe's energy landscape. While Western Europe adapts, countries like Slovakia must brace for a challenging winter. And for Russia, the days of weaponizing gas may be coming to an end. And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back. The high temperatures of 2024 have crowned the last 10 years the hottest on record. That is according to UN General Secretary Antonio Guterres.
Throughout 2024, hope has been hard to find. Wars are causing enormous pain, suffering, and displacement. Inequalities and divisions are rife, fueling tensions and mistrust. And today, I can officially report that we have just endured a decade of deadly heat. The top 10 hottest years on record have happened in the last 10 years, including 2024. This is climate breakdown in real time. In 2025, countries must put the world on a safer path by dramatically slashing emissions and supporting the transition to a renewable future. It is essential and it is possible.
In November, the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service warned that 2024 is on track to be the hottest year on record and the first to cross 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Last year, 2023, the world registered a shocking record of 1.48 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. Nearly 200 countries committed in the Paris Agreement to limit warming to as close to as 1.5 degrees Celsius as possible. While these records do not mean we've breached the Paris Agreement's target, scientists expect the world will cross that threshold by the early 2030s. Carbon dioxide emissions from burning coal, oil and gas are the main cause of global warming. And countries at November's COP29 summit in Baku adopted a $300 billion a year global finance target to help poorer nations cope with impacts of climate change. A deal its intended recipients criticized as woefully insufficient. The world is currently on track for as much as 3.1 degrees Celsius of warming by the end of this century, according to the 2014 UN Emissions Gap Report, with global greenhouse gas emissions and fossil fuel use continuing to rise. The traditional New Year's Day Rose Parade returns with its annual arrangement of petal-covered floats, marching bands, and equestrian units. And this year's theme encourages attendees to decide how going to the Rose Parade can make for the best day ever in 2025. In Pasadena, California, Eva and Allen with this report.
A new year means a new theme for the Rose Parade.
And for 2025, that theme is Best Day Ever.
I think it's going to be the best day ever because what's better than starting the new year with a little bit of flowers and floats and, you know, good vibes, good energy.
We're super excited to be here. Looking forward to seeing all the floats, and it's a beautiful day here in Pasadena.
The atmosphere here is stunning. I mean, I've only ever seen it on TV, but actually being here amongst the lights and all the people and the bleachers and seeing the floats up close, I'm actually very excited about it.
This is the best day ever because we're here with our family to celebrate the new year and to see these beautiful floats that are all made from flowers. And the smell is going to be so fragrant as they come down the street. Can't wait to spend this day with our family.
Because one, it's sunny, and two, it's not raining. We're from Ohio, so we get a lot of that. But we've also never seen the floats before, so we're excited to see all the floats.
I'm excited seeing all the floats that are made of like roses and how big they are and how life-size they are.
To hopefully see the Buckeyes take home another win and to see all the parade floats.
We also want to know any other reason why the new year could be the best day ever.
Because I'm with my two beautiful babies, the people I love more than anyone in the universe, and every day with them is the best day ever.
Because I'm with my sister and my mom, and we're spending time together watching the Buckeyes take home another win.
Because I'd rather be here than in my hometown, because it's rainy and cold there, and I want to ice all the beautiful floats and stuff.
This could be the best day ever because it's the very beginning of the new year, and there's so many opportunities that are yet to come. I'm looking forward to it.
For me, every day that I wake up, it's the best day. It is a God-given day, so I love it.
From simple delights to blockbuster achievements, having one's best day ever may simply come down to what they make of each opportunity and experience.
So with that thought, we wanted to wish all our viewers a very happy new year. May your 2025 be filled with one best day ever after another.
Reporting from the Rose Parade in Pasadena, California, Ivan Allen for NET25 World News.
A watch made for Marie Antoinette will be displayed for the first time in the UK at London's Science Museum. To tell us more, here's Joshua James Season, son of our late correspondent, V. Season.
Thanks, Alma. This isn't just any watch. It's the famous number 160 timepiece, nicknamed the Grand Complication, designed by Abraham Louis Breguet in 1783. The watch was crafted without a budget, featuring 823 intricate parts, rubies, sapphires, platinum, and gold. But its story is as captivating as its design.
It's the most sophisticated watch of its day. It can do all sorts of things. In some ways, it's the smartwatch of its time. It has a stopwatch, a thermometer, its shock absorber. It self-winds. It has a calendar. It is an absolutely remarkable and beautiful piece. Every piece of brass has been replaced where it can be by gold. The weight that allows it to self-wind is actually platinum. And the watch face is not just glass, it's rock crystal.
Tragically, Marie Antoinette never laid eyes on the finished timepiece. Work continued long after execution in 1793, and it wasn't completed until after Breguet's death in 1827.
So the watch behind me is the famous Marie Antoinette watch created by Breguet, a Swiss watch manufacturer who is still around today. It was commissioned in 1783, but it took so long to create that it wasn't finished until long after Marie Antoinette had met her unfortunate end.
Now housed at the LA Mayer Museum, the watch has traveled abroad for the first time since its recovery in 2008. Versailles, Science's Splendor, transports visitors to 120 years of scientific evolution at the French royal court. With over 100 objects on display, many never before seen in the UK, this exhibition showcases the intertwined worlds of science and luxury. Reporting from the Science Museum in London, this is Joshua James Season for NET25 World News.
Thank you, Josh. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you for joining us. Good night.